Supervisor Curry. Present. Councilman Encino. Here. Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Hughes.
Here.
Councilman Santino.
Here.
Councilman Kingswini.
Here.
And Councilman Tuesday.
I'm here.
Yes. I just wanted to call your name.
Okay, we're all set. Please call the first public hearing.
Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove a one-family dwelling and remove all litter and debris from property in Hewlett.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter? I don't believe we have any speaking slips. Not made a motion?
Yes, Supervisor. I move the public hearing be closed and the petition of the Commissioner of Buildings be approved.
Second.
Supervisor Murray.
Aye.
Councilman Encino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Tuesday.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kingswini.
Next item, please.
Petition of Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove a one-family dwelling and remove all litter and debris from property in Merrick.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? If not, I will then entertain a motion.
I move the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Councilman Encino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Tuesday.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kingswini.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding regulation and restrictions to limit parking in Franklin Square and Oceanside.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? There being none, I will offer a motion that the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law be passed.
Mr. Super. I move that the hearing be closed and that the item be adopted. Second.
Councilman Encino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Tuesday. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kingswini.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Hewlett and Oceanside.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on that? No. There being none, now on that one, I will propose that the public hearing be closed and the local law be adopted.
Second.
Councilman Encino. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Tuesday. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kingswini.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Baldwin, West Hempstead, and Woodmere.
Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this item? And there being none, I will entertain a motion, please.
Move the public hearing be closed and the proposed local law adopted.
Second motion?
Councilman Encino.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Tuesday.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kingswini.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Proposed local law regarding apprenticeship training programs for town contracts.
Okay. I understand at this time.
May I respectfully request that the board adjourn this item without date while discussions continue between the town and the various labor unions involved.
Okay.
I move that the item be adjourned. Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion to adjourn the public hearing without date? So we're not considering the motion to the matter today, other than further discussion. Yes.
Yes.
Come forward, please. State your name and address for the record.
Felix Bocacci, 1165 Bond Street, Franklin Square, New York. As far as the adjournment is concerned, why are we adjourning this? Why aren't we discussing it today exactly?
For further review and further consideration before it's presented in final form for a public hearing.
Well, on that respect, going through the items that were presented online, to the public at least, the details of that apprenticeship program was never made available online, so I asked that prior to the hearing, you put that online, which is required by law. Would that be okay?
We certainly will conform to the law,
Or
absolutely.
requires that all resolution details be,
We will certainly
Online.
conform to the law.
but it wasn't. Thank you.
Anyone else on the motion to adjourn this matter without date? There being none, we've had a motion and a second, so Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Anderson.
Aye.
Councilman Bateman.
Aye.
Councilman Lucy. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Kinswini.
Okay, so that matter has been adjourned without date. Next item, please.
Application of Montauk Auto Rebuilders, Inc. for special acceptance, public garage to construct an automotive repair shop in Belmore.
Good morning.
Councilor?
Good morning, Supervisor Santino, members of the town board. As you know, my name is Thomas McKevitt, from the firm of Son, Ward, Castellano, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, 11553, and I represent Montauk Auto Rebuilders, the applicant in this matter. This is an application for a special exception to operate an automotive body shop at 36 Broadway, Belmore, also known as Section 56, Block 340, Lots 6 and 15 on the land and tax map of Nassau County. This property is located in the Business X zone of the town of Hempstead. As this board is aware, a special exception, or otherwise known as a special use permit, is tantamount to a legislative finding that the permitted use is in harmony with the general zoning plan and will not adversely affect the neighborhood. My client has been in the auto body business for over 35 years. First Oceanside from 1977 to 1978, and then Montauk from 1979 to 1990, hence the corporate name of Montauk Auto Rebuilders. He moved to his current location at 9 Keys Place in Merrick in 1990, and thereafter has renamed the business as Merrick Collision, which is the name it operates under today. The existing body shop is located at the southwest corner of Keys Place and Benson Lane, just north of the Merrick Long Island Railroad Station. My client is looking to open a satellite location at 36 Broadway in Belmore. He's looking to build a new spray painting booth, which will cost approximately $90,000 at this location. And the reason why he's doing this as well, too, is that parking has become more difficult at his current location in Merrick. Recently, a CrossFit gym has moved adjacent to him, and also due to the fact that his landlord uses a number of spaces on the site as well. So by opening up a satellite location in Belmore, he'll be able to go and build a, again, modern painting facility, as well as be able to go and alleviate that parking there, and then have a smaller satellite location over in that location in Belmore. Again, if there's a perception that there is a problem with parking in the Merrick location, and what I did, as a matter of fact, as well, is I did a freedom of information law request regarding my client's current location at 9 Keys Place, Merrick, and the only thing the building department came up with was a complaint in 2010 that R&U Auto Body is parking and working on cars on the sidewalk. R&U Auto Body is another auto body place located on the east side of Keys Place in Merrick. So again, for the sake of the board, I do have copies of that exhibit for the board, just to indicate that there have been no complaints regarding my client's operations over in Merrick. The subject building is located at 36 Broadway in Belmore. It was constructed in 1940. It fronts on both Broadway and Grand Avenue, and is located 195.7 feet west of Belmore Avenue, and located immediately adjacent and north to the Belmore Long Island Railroad Station. The lot size is 11,368.84 square feet, and has an existing building of 6,455.95 square feet. In 1976, variances were granted by the Town of Hempstead Board of Zoning Appeals for off-street parking for a building to include a machine shop and the storage, wholesale, and retail sales of auto parts. In 1999, the Board of Zoning Appeals granted approval for a church which applied to the name as the Christian Joy Fellowship. That use allowed 264 occupants and required 66 automobiles at the site, when only 7 were provided. It has been operating under the name The Real Church for the last several years, and my client bought the building in November 2013, and the church stopped operating in 2014. And since early 2014, the building has been vacant ever since. The surrounding area, when you look between both Broadway and Grand Avenue in Belmore, right near the train station, has a number of automobile repair uses. And I believe the town board has actually granted precedent by granting these uses in the past. For example, immediately to the west of my client's property is 2765 Broadway, is Harry Auto Glass and Village Auto, which does automotive repairs. It was approved as an auto body repair shop by the town board on July 26, 1977, under the name HEH Realty Corporation. I have a copy of that grant from the town board as well, which I will give to the clerk. In addition, the property immediately to the east is 2765 Broadway, is another auto repair shop, and is known as Banner Transmission and Engine. It was approved by the town board in 1979. And expansion was approved in 1984 under the name Edwin Hettinger. And again, for the sake of the board and for the town clerk, I have a copy of that approval, which was granted by the town board as well. To the northeast, within 100 feet, is another automobile body shop known under the name of GRS Realty. It currently operates in the name of Advanced Auto Body. It is located in the northwest corner of Belmore Avenue and Grand Avenue, and its address is 2160 Belmore Avenue in Belmore. It was approved by the town board in 2002. At that time, the Nassau County Planning Commission recommended they disapprove of the application because the Planning Commission at the time believed that it would bring more traffic into the area, and the fact that the parking plan for the site was in the sightline triangle, the Planning Commission determined this would create a hazardous condition. Despite that, the town board did go and grant that approval in 2002 with the number of covenant restrictions at the time on the GRS property, which includes no outdoor repairs, no outdoor storage of materials of any kind. When possible, the garage doors leading to the base should be kept in a closed position. There should be no parking or standing of automobiles on the sidewalk. And the hours of operation to Advanced Auto Body is limited through Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., with the garage closed on Sundays. And again, I have a copy of that approval to go and give to the town clerk as well. I'd also like to note that this town board on May 20, 2014, granted automotive repair shop to TJM Realty on Grand Avenue, west of Pettit Place, just west of Bedford Avenue. And again, I'll give copies of that approval to the clerk for the town's records as well. So again, I can indicate that in the nearby area, immediately to my property, this board, the previous town boards, have approved at least 2 auto repair shop and a body shop, and last year approved just auto repair shop. As indicated before, we intend on using the premises located at 36 Broadway to be a satellite location for our current location at 9 Keys Place, America. We will plan to have a maximum of 5 employees at this location. And the way the business operates, customers do not just randomly come to the site. This is done usually on an appointment basis. It is done usually in coordination with insurance companies. And again, I'll have a traffic expert testify later, but as far as the traffic impact, the parking impact is concerned, this will be actually a very low-intensive use, much lower than other as-of-right uses. There inside the premises will be a spray booth, a frame machine, and 2 electrical lifts inside the shop. At any one time, there will probably be approximately 10 cars stored on the site. And again, there's ample space within the building, as well as parking spaces outside the building in order to run the storage. The work done on this site is only automotive body work. We don't do any type of repairs or lube jobs or brakes or any of those type of average repairs. Again, that cuts back on the impact of the area. It's only body shop, doing cars with collisions and accidents, do body work to the cars. We will be providing 9 parking spaces at the subject location. The building zone ordinance does require 16 spaces. So we will in addition need a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals, both for an off-street parking variance, and I believe as well for a front yard setback variance as well. If approved, the exterior of the building will be considerably renovated to improve its aesthetic experience. This will most likely be accomplished by putting new stucco on the exterior, fixing some cracks, and beautifying the area. I am aware that there was a report performed by the building department this past August dealing with the conditions of the site. Again, I think there are just minor concerns regarding some cracking the building and some cracking the exterior. Again, it's our intention to completely redo and completely refurbish the exterior with stucco in order to make this an aesthetically pleasing site. Just to let you know that the report from the building department had also had an indication that there was some barbed wire at the premises without permit. We actually had gone and taken a look at the premises and looked at the survey for the site, and it appears that the barbed wire does not belong to my client's property. It actually belongs to the property to the east. And I did submit correspondence to the building department on October 20th, this year, as you're indicating it, with a copy of the survey as well. So again, I'll give that to the clerk as well for the records to indicate that I believe we actually have addressed that concern. Obviously, with any type of case, there are obviously conditions which the board generally puts on these applications. One of the conditions we will indicate we will agree to is that we will only be open to customers from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Fridays and 8 a.m. to noon on Saturdays. We will not be open on Sundays. The way we operate is we will only be doing repairs from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and we'll be open to 5 p.m. in order for people to go and pick up their cars. So again, in order to go and minimize any impacts in the area, we'll be limiting the hours, I think significantly lesser than what this board has put conditions on surrounding properties in the area. We'll also condition that all repairs should be conducted inside the building. There should be no sale or leasing of vehicles on the premises. The premises shall be kept free of debris, and there'll be no outdoor storage of materials at the site. I'd also just like to note that the Nassau County Planning Commission, it's my understanding, has no objection and has rendered a local determination for the matter. At this time, I would like to go and introduce Mr. John Breslin of the Breslin Appraisal Company, testifies as a real estate expert. Mr. Breslin has testified before this board, the Comprehensive Zoning Board, and many boards across Long Island has been deemed an expert, and I would go and ask the board to deem him an expert as well. If you have any questions regarding his qualifications, Mr. Breslin will be more than happy to answer that as well. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is John Breslin. I'm the principal and president of Breslin Appraisal Company, whose office is at 44 Elm Street in Huntington. With respect to this application, I was requested on behalf of the applicant to make a study of the proposal and review it in conjunction with the standards enunciated under the town ordinance with respect to special permits. In doing that, of course, I was provided with the application materials. I reviewed the town history with respect to the utilization of this property, and of course visited the site and the subject neighborhood that it's situated in. As Mr. McDevitt explained, the history of this property and the uses that it's been put to recently and the area that's surrounding it. The subject property is situated on Broadway and Belmore in the downtown area, and it's situated right along the railroad tracks on Broadway. Opposite the subject, the north side of Broadway is the developed section of Broadway. The opposite side is all municipal parking areas associated primarily with the railroad, and then just to the south of that is Sunrise Highway, is a King Cullen Shopping Center on a portion to the south of a portion of that municipal parking area, and of course the elevated railroad tracks. Along the subject side of Broadway, the predominant land use is in fact auto repair and auto uses like proposed here for the subject property. It's the church use that exists on the subject property that's the one that's out of character. The readaptation of this building to an auto use would bring it more in conformity with the existing development pattern along that stretch of Broadway. Mr. McGevitt also explained that these properties along Broadway, for the most part, go through to Grand to the north, and all those, for the most part, all those properties do that. The two automotive repair uses on either side of the subject do. There's also an office behind the automotive repair use on the west of the subject that does that. Behind that one, the auto repair use on the east side goes completely through. Also, there is a cleaners and a bar on Broadway just to the west of the subject. On the opposite side, on Grand, there, as he mentioned, on the opposite corner, diagonally opposite the subject, there is an auto body shop, Advanced Auto, which extends from the corner all the way down past the subject property. And then to the west of that, there's a Mason Supply Yard on the opposite side. On the subject side, there are the three uses of the subject. There's an apartment building, some retail along the west side. But the uses predominantly along this stretch are auto-related, and the subject use as contemplated certainly fits within the uses that are found in this immediate area. The residential neighborhood begins as you move further to the north, beyond the commercial properties on the opposite side of Grand. And of course, to the south, the residences don't start until you get out to the other side of Sunrise Highway. So the development in this area is consistent with the business zone and predominantly immediately on the subject. Again, each use is consistent. Mr. McKevitt also indicated this is a special permit. The board has recognized this use by granting special permits for this use diagonally across the street, as well as auto repair uses immediately surrounding the subject property in prior applications before this board. It's my opinion, by consistent with your prior findings, by granting the reliefs necessary for this application, you're certainly not going to have an adverse impact on real property values. You're not going to change the roles or the pattern of development. It's completely consistent with it. It's not going to have an adverse impact on either the commercial properties or the nearby residential properties, even though they're not in close proximity to the subject. All of the requisite municipal services are available to this property, and the revitalization of the building will be a significant aesthetic upgrade for the commercial district in this area. Now, I took a series of 25 photographs, each of which are labeled. I'd like to hand up as an exhibit. What these photographs show is the immediately surrounding area. Included in these photographs are the land uses along Broadway as well as Grand. It gives you a clear depiction of the development pattern and will, I think, clearly show that this proposed reuse of this building as an auto repair type facility is completely consistent with the immediately surrounding development pattern. The other thing that I think if you consider, if you look at your zoning ordinance, you'll see that this proposed use, especially as contemplated as a satellite facility in conjunction with its other auto body use, is far less intense than what could be put there as a matter of right under your zoning ordinance. So in conclusion, I believe from a real estate point of view, this use is in keeping with the development pattern and will not have an adverse impact. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Again, we'll give a copy of that photo right that Mr. President's done to the clerk for the records of this proceeding.
Okay.
I have one other witness, Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to.
Councilor, go ahead, proceed.
Yes. At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Wayne Muller of Armis Engineering. Mr. Muller is a professional engineer. He's a traffic engineer. He has appeared before this board on numerous occasions as a traffic expert. Again, has appeared before our town's Board of Zoning Appeals many times as a traffic expert. I would ask that you deem him to be an expert as well. And again, Mr. Muller has his report, his findings, both from a traffic as well as a parking generation perspective on this site.
Without, as per his being regarded as an expert, without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Santino.
Good morning, members of the board. Excuse me. My name is Wayne Muller. I'm the firm of Armis Engineering. Our office is 355 New York Avenue, Huntington, New York. For the record, I'd like to submit copies of a report that we prepared regarding the application before the board this morning, dated November 10, 2015.
And we're adding copies of the clerk and also copies for the board members if you so choose to wish to review the report.
I'd just like to briefly summarize the results of our analysis contained within my report. As indicated by Mr. McKevitt, Mr. Breslin, it is proposed to occupy the approximately 6,450 square foot one-story building located on the property with an auto body shop. As indicated by Mr. McKevitt, this facility will be a satellite of the existing Keys Place facility, which is located in Merrick. As indicated, and as based on my discussion with the applicant, there will be 5 employees on site. Customers to the facility will be done on an appointment-only basis. As indicated by Mr. McKevitt, in order to facilitate the construction of the proposed project as we envision it, a special permit or special exception is required from the town board of the town of Hempstead. In addition, if this project were to receive approval, we would be proceeding to the zoning board of appeals in order to seek variances to have the use on the property. As indicated on the plans, and in accordance with the town of Hempstead building zone ordinance, an auto shop requires 1 parking space for every 500 square feet of gross floor area and 1 parking space for every 200 square feet of administrative office space. The proposed project requires 16 parking spaces. As indicated on the plans, 9 parking spaces are provided on the property. We performed an analysis of the available parking within the subject area to determine if there is available on-street and off-street parking. The areas that we chose for study are indicated on the parking area exhibit, figure EX1, which is located as an attachment to our report. As indicated on the attachment, the subject property is surrounded by available on-street parking both on Broadway and on Grand. In addition, there are several municipal parking fields located in close proximity to the subject property. And as Mr. President indicated, just to the south of the property is a very large municipal parking field associated with the Long Island Railroad Station. As indicated in our report, the municipal parking areas do have some utilization during the midday peak hours, and that's to be expected when people are shopping and doing their business within Belmore. As indicated in our report, the parking fields located to the south, which is primarily commuter parking, experience high levels of activity. In addition, we performed observations at the applicant's existing facility at Keys Place in regards to parking, and what we found there was a maximum of 9 vehicles. That would be employees and customers associated with that facility. Therefore, the 9 parking spaces on the subject property would be adequate to satisfy the demand. As indicated in our study, if there was a need to have additional, say, overflow parking at this facility, there is available parking on Broadway to satisfy that demand. However, that analysis is extremely conservative in so much as that this facility will be a satellite facility. So for all intents and purposes, there'll be 5 employees parked on the site and maybe a customer or 2 sporadically coming to the project throughout the day. Thereby, the demand should be able to be fully contained within the subject property. In addition, we performed an estimate of the traffic that would be generated by an auto body shop on this property. In order to do that, we performed observations at the existing Keys Place facility. Those observations were performed during the morning 7 to 9 a.m. period, and in the afternoon 4 to 6 p.m. period. The results of those studies indicated that the existing facility generates an extremely low level of traffic, 3 cars during the morning peak hour and 4 cars during the afternoon peak hour. For comparative purposes, we observed the quantity of traffic during those same time frames at the existing advanced auto body shop, which is located 100 feet to the north and east of the subject property. Those observations were performed on Thursday, November 5th, last week. What we found was that in an hour and a half between 7:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning, there was a total of 2 trips to that facility. 1 car entered and 1 car exited. And then between 4 and 5 p.m., there was 1 car that exited the property during that time frame. What I was trying to demonstrate is that these types of facilities are traditionally low traffic generators. We then performed an analysis using the statistics presented in the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual, which allows traffic engineers and other persons who may so desire to estimate the quantity of traffic generated by specific land uses. One of the land uses contained in the manual is for an auto repair facility. If we were to read the description of an auto repair facility, it would be more closer to a Firestone or a Pep Boys or something of that nature. But however, we applied those rates to the proposed project as we envision it today. That information is summarized in Table 5 of my report, and what that shows by using those ratios, 15 cars will be generated during the morning peak hour and 20 in the afternoon. We then performed a comparative analysis to developments on the subject property that could be developed within the Business X district. In accordance with the special permit criteria in section, bear with me for a second.
Is that in the report?
Yes.
Okay, we'll read the report.
Okay, but essentially what I found was that a 6,000 square foot 2-story medical office building would generate more traffic than what we propose here today. 1,300 square foot convenience market would generate more traffic than we propose here today. 3,000 square foot one-story walk-in bank would generate more traffic than we propose here today. In addition, the code allows a 1,850 square foot fast food restaurant that could be constructed on the property, which would generate more traffic than the development that we propose here today. So therefore, as indicated in my report and based on my testimony here this morning, it is my professional opinion that the granting of the special exception to permit the proposed auto body use on the subject property is in keeping with the intent of the code. It will not create any undue traffic congestion or hazard. There are a plethora of uses that are fully permitted within the business district that could be constructed on this property that would generate a significantly larger quantity of traffic. Thank you.
Actually, I just have a couple of questions for Mr. Mueller, just to clarify his testimony. Mr. Mueller, you indicated that there are other as-of-right uses, such as a medical office, a convenience store, and a walk-in bank, which would generate more traffic than the proposed auto body spot we have at the site. Can you just tell the board exactly how many trips during the AM and PM peak hour each of those uses would have, both the medical office, convenience store, and the walk-in bank?
Sure. Medical office during the morning peak hour will generate 12 trips versus 3 observed trips at the existing Keys Place facility. In the afternoon peak hour, the medical office would generate 18 vehicles versus 14 that we observed at the existing facility.
14 or 4?
Excuse me, 4, sorry. The 1,300 square foot convenience store would generate 87 vehicles during the morning peak hour versus 3. In the afternoon, 68 versus 4. The walk-in bank would be 24 versus 36. And again, an 1,850 square foot fast food restaurant would generate more traffic than the numbers by the auto body facility.
And just to indicate, Mr. Mueller, when you did your survey of the existing facility at 9 Keys Place, I believe the facility at 9 Keys Place is over 9,000 square feet, and the proposed facility we have at 36 Broadway is approximately 6,400 square feet. So based upon the fact we will have perhaps a significantly lower square footage at the Belmore location than the Merrick location, what would your opinion be on the amount of traffic impacts you would expect at the Belmore location compared to the Merrick location based upon the size of the facility?
The quantity of traffic generated at this facility, comparing it to the Merrick facility, would be less based on a square foot basis. And also due to the fact that this is proposed to be a satellite facility to that location, it would generate less traffic than what we would anticipate based on just the observations at that facility.
And would also have less of a parking impact based on the fact that the satellite facility will have far fewer employees than the main facility at Keys Place, America.
That's absolutely correct.
That is a presentation for both my witnesses. I understand there are a number of people signed up to be heard in this case as well, and I'd just like to reserve the right to rebut any testimony we hear during any opposition we might hear at this proceeding.
So, no problem, Counsel. Before we go to that, do any members of the board have any questions for Mr. McKevitt or either of his witnesses? No? Okay.
Thank you
very much. Stuart Schneiderman. And your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Stuart Schneider. I own a Sport Fitness located at 2742 Grand Avenue in Belmore, New York. My business is northwest of where the proposed body shop is going to be. The back of my lot exits through Broadway. The front of my lot exits through Grand Avenue. My concerns are first with parking. As it is right now, I believe there is a tremendous parking problem in this vicinity. What's happening is on Grand Avenue first, There's alternate side of the street parking that runs Grand Avenue from Bedford Avenue to Belmore Avenue. So when they take a look at the parking that's available, it's only 50% of what has been proposed. Secondly, on Broadway itself, there is no parking on Broadway between Belmore Avenue and Bedford Avenue. Where there is parking is west of Bedford Avenue. There are 3 spots located on the right side, and as they go further west, there is parking on the street. However, there are other businesses that rely on these particular spots. My concern is also my lot itself I share with Gordo Village, which was already told to the board here. We share the lot during the day. After 5:15, where we're still open, I have the entire lot. However, there are only 8 spots that are available. Now, while it's true there's a Long Island Railroad parking lot across the street from the proposed body shop, by 7 o'clock, I would say 95% of that lot is already filled with people who are commuting into the city. We go on the north side where there's another municipal lot. Basically, it's supposed to be for parking for stores in Belmore itself. There is only 3-hour parking. There are some 12-hour spots that are along the fence. However, those spots also, I see by the time 9 o'clock comes along, people are already sitting in their cars ready to get on the train. So again, my concern is there. Now, we were told that there are 9 spots that are available to this body shop being proposed. My question is, how many employees does he have? Also, where are the spots going to be not only for the employees, but also for the insurance adjusters when they come in? Where are they going to park their cars? The way I see it right now, there's just, there just isn't enough spots that are available at the time, and space is too congested anyway. Also, Grand Avenue is also a bus route. So again, we talk about traffic backing up. Now, anybody who is familiar with Grand Avenue, even 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, traffic is backed up from the light.
Keep going.
Okay. From the light on Belmore Avenue, almost the full length going back to Bedford Avenue. We have a diner on the corner at Grand Avenue and Bedford Avenue called the Mediterranean Diner, who gets multiple deliveries during the day. Again, traffic is backed up over there. I just feel that right now, with everything that's going on, putting a body shop in, even if it's a satellite shop, will just cause too much congestion. Also, from what I've heard, is they not only have a frame shop in there, but also they're going to be painting cars there. Now, I'm not an expert on body repair, but I've always been told that it takes at least 24 hours for the paint to dry. So when a repair is getting done and it has to be painted, I can't see it coming in the morning and leaving at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Those cars have to be stored overnight. Again, where are they going to be stored?
Thank you, Mr. Shannon. Thank you very much. Richard DeRusso. Please state your name again and your address for the record, Mr. DeRusso.
Good morning. My name is Richard DeRusso, 2751 Grand Avenue in Belmore. I own a building that is occupied by a wholesale electrical supply business. If anybody knows the street between Belmore Avenue and Bedford Avenue, it's a fairly narrow street. There is alternate parking on the street, and I think it's mainly because the buses are running up and down that street. If somebody decides to park on the alternate side, the bus is going to have an extremely difficult time getting through. Talking about the church only operated at night and on a Sunday, which had no impact on the so-called traffic. Besides, by their own admission, there's so many businesses on that street that it's extremely difficult to have more traffic coming in. So, I mean, as you can see, there is parking in the parking lots of the Long Island Railroad. Those parkings in that lot is restricted by permits, and there is no parking, to my knowledge, between Bedford and Belmore Avenue on Broadway. So I just don't understand where they're getting their theory from to where this would not impact the traffic, which we feel would really be in that. There is a tremendous amount of traffic during the day because of the traffic light that's on Bedford Avenue, also on Belmore Avenue, on Grand Avenue. These are very long lights in excess of a minute and a half. That traffic backs up right down the street. And I can really tell you that it is difficult to get to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caruso. Kyle Ray. Kyle Ray.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the board. My name is Anthony Archuleta, son of attorney at the firm of Rosenberg, Lee and LLP, 666.
I called him Mr. Kyle Ray.
Yes, Mr. Ray is a principal of AG Electrical Supply. My office represents AG Electrical Supply. So in abundance of caution, I have Mr. Ray sign in.
So you're here as his attorney?
As counsel, yes.
Okay, then but if you don't mind, if I'll let you step down, I want to hear from the, from residents who are just here on their own, and we'll call you back at the end, okay?
Yes, sir.
Lucia Spielberg. Lucia Spielberg.
My name is Lucia Spielberg. I live at 55 Park Avenue.
Can you speak a little more directly into the mic? It's a little soft, yeah.
My name is Lucia Spielberg. I live at 55 Park Avenue in Merrick, New York. I'm here today as a concerned citizen. I live in the area and also frequent the train as I work in Manhattan on a daily basis. So twofold. In terms of frequenting, I jog in the area surrounding the location of the auto body shop in Merrick, and it is very frequently dangerous because you have to run in the street, walk in the street. There are cars parked all over the sidewalk, not necessarily in an orderly fashion. Due to the infrastructure by the railroad in Merrick, that actually has pushed me to park in the Belmore parking lot as well. And in terms of infrastructure now in the Belmore area, that is a concern to me if another auto body shop or even any business for that matter, that is going to create parking issues. The infrastructure needs to be built up in order to account for additional vehicles and parking. My main concern also is I hear the word satellite office being dropped several times during this hearing, and in my mind, and also I think the meaning of satellite office is a smaller office run by a larger organization. I would like, perhaps at another point, you might want to check to see what the timing is on the lease in Merrick, because my understanding is the auto body shop in Merrick is going to be losing their lease. Therefore, they are portraying this as a satellite office, which it eventually will not be a satellite office. They have an 11,000 square foot facility, which is going to be reduced ultimately to 6,000 square feet. And if they have parking issues now in Merrick, they're certainly going to have major issues in Belmore. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Barbara Grau and Robert Grau. Ms. Nyman, for the record.
My name is Barbara Grau. I reside at 19 Anger Drive in Massapequa, New York. I am manager of the apartment building located at 2757 Grand Avenue in Belmar, located northeast of the proposed body shop. My biggest concern is the traffic, the flow of traffic on Grand Avenue. As mentioned previously, this is an extremely narrow street. Frequent use of the bus routes for Nassau County transverse that street, making it difficult to have any kind of free movement during especially business times. The tenants in that building do work various times of the days and evenings, have difficulty parking near the residence. 3 of the parking spaces we can use for our tenants. One of our tenants has had to rent a parking space at another location just to keep his car safe because it has been frequently damaged by the passing traffic. We're also concerned about pedestrians that do walk past that area. We do get a lot of pedestrians going to and from the Long Island Railroad during rush hours especially, which would be the hours of operation for this body shop. And if anybody has seen a body shop in operation during the business day, even though cars are to remain within the body shop confines, body shop businesses do move cars frequently during the day in and out of the shop to make room for other vehicles to be repaired. I'm a little concerned about hearing that the body shop works on appointment only. I don't know of any shop that can control that as well. I feel that this would just bring a lot of extra traffic into the area, a lot of hardship for businesses in the area that may lose customers because their customers cannot park easily, as also the municipal lots seem to be very full very early in the mornings for other commuters for the Long Island Railroad. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, good morning. My name is Robert Carra. My address is 1990 Drive in Massapequa, and I run Advanced Auto Body. And first, I would like to congratulate Mr. McKevitt on a wonderful presentation, along with his hired experts. But in hearing his explanation, I find a couple of flaws. First of all, as Barbara had just mentioned, customers don't come to an auto body shop all the time by appointment. They just show up. I have over 40 years of experience in the body shop business, and that's the way it is, along with adjusters and parts trucks for making deliveries, and so on and so forth. Also, Mr. McKevitt also had failed to mention, as far as the complaints against Merritt Collision, there was a complaint made by myself on the proposed location back in January. They were gutting that building without a permit. I have a copy of the complaint right here, and they were parking dumpsters on the sidewalk, impeding traffic, creating hazardous conditions. In addition, I have a bunch of pictures that I want to submit to the board also of various times of the year that we've taken of Keys Place, of cars parked on the sidewalk, double and triple parked. In some of the pictures, there's actually, you can see pedestrians can't get by, that they actually have to walk in the street. So we really don't want to have people who run their business like this, parking cars on sidewalks, double and triple parking cars. We don't want that in our town of Belmar, where everybody right now respects everybody else's rights and it's a parking situation. We don't want a problem for Merritt to end up in Belmar. And thank you for hearing me.
Okay, thank you very much. Thomas O'Brien.
Good morning. My name is Thomas O'Brien. I live at 2461 Avenue, Belmar. My concern is, as a citizen of Belmar, is definitely traffic. I'm out and about in Belmar throughout the day. I'm on that street. I'm on Broadway. I'm on Grand. I appreciate Mr. Muller's survey from Huntington, but he was there for 1 day, from what I heard. Maybe he was there more, but from what I heard, he was there 1 day. I'm there every day. I live in the town for 30 years, and I just strongly disagree with his findings. The congestion the congestion is always bad on that block, even when everyone's parked legally, as it is, and it will only get worse. I was on it yesterday, the day before, the traffic is backed up, it's horrendous. Lastly, and briefly, is my concern, I didn't hear anybody mention in traffic. I heard nobody mention what I consider most paramount for the health and safety of Belmore, and that would be the response of fire and police. Mr. Muller never mentioned anything about response times for first responders. I have a little experience in 30 years of the requirement, and nothing was actually mentioned about first responder time down Grand Avenue or Broadway. It is a primary response for the Belmont Fire Department, and it could very possibly have impact. And I think that that should be looked into before the decision is made.
Thank you very much, sir. Tina Pugh, please. Wait, okay. And your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Tina DeQuaid, 2707 Grand Avenue, Belmore. I'm here in reference to another business opening up. I currently own a salon, and the traffic is crazy. It's backed up for minutes at a time. The bus can't get down Grand Avenue, because at the corner we have a diner. The diner does deliveries. We have 18-wheelers that pull up there. People are double parked. The police always go to that area because they're called. Buses cannot get down the block. As you approach Belmore Avenue, you can't leave the area any day of the week at rush hour, 3, 4, or 5. The traffic is backed up Belmore Avenue to the light. As we all know, there is a picture light over there. If you're waiting on Grand Avenue, you can't even get across Belmore Avenue to just go up a different route. People are backed up, screaming. It's crazy. It's chaos. If you go the other way onto Grand Avenue and make your left or your right into the town of Bedford, once again, traffic. You cannot get out of the area. On a Friday night, we have commuters that try to leave there. I also am involved with Belmore Chamber. I'm a member. And we have a problem even on Fridays with the car show and the police coming to the area because you can't get down the block, which is Broadway. We have a bar on the corner of McBride. We have a flower shop there. People can't get in and out just to get to their cars and go home. The place has a lot of traffic. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Bruce Holtzman? Holtzman. Mr. Holtzman. Good morning. Your name and address for the record.
Bruce John Holtzman, 2757 Grand Avenue. I've been residing there for 6 years now. I live directly across the street from the future auto body shop. And I've seen the traffic firsthand. I see what the buses do, what they have to go through. The gentleman, Tom, the retired fireman, mentioned response time. What they're doing is they're blocking the box. There is an official box there at the end of Grand, and people just block right there, so you can't even get out of Grand Avenue because they're blocking the traffic. So I'm wondering if maybe they should put a box there so you can't block the box unless you're going to get a ticket. And the buses, they go down to Belmore, they go down to Merrick Road, they do a U-turn, they come right up, and every bus that goes down to Belmore comes up down Grand. And my car happens to be in the lot that I paid for to get it off the street because I've been sideswiped, rear-ended, and I have a very nice car, convertible, and I'm trying to take care of it, and that's what I'm forced to do. And if I wanted to live in Queens, I'd go live in Queens with all this traffic. This business is going to be created. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay. And now again, back to Mr. Kyle Ray. And And if we can start over with your name and address for the record.
Anthony Deloso, Rosenberg, Unit Maintenance, 666 Old Country Road, Garden City, New York, 11530.
And I'm Tom Ray, Vice President and Board Owner of the Electric Supply at 2751 Grand Avenue.
We'll also be hearing from traffic engineer retained by AG Electrical Supply, Stephen Schneider, so I'll vacate my seat when I'm done with my presentation. But on behalf of AG Electrical Supply, as you've heard here, the owner and proprietor of the electrical supply located at 2751 Grand Avenue near the subject premises, our concerns are twofold. One is the inadequacy of the existing parking both off-street and on-street to accommodate the intended use for employees, for patrons, for insurance adjusters, for examiners of Wanto Auto. And the other, so addressing the on-site concerns, we've heard that the proposed gross square footage area of the building is about 6,400 square feet. Under that analysis, 16 spaces would be required. We've heard that only 9 would be provided. We've seen a plot plan when I last inspected the public record where only 7 spaces were provided. But in any event, the spaces provided, and you'll hear Mr. Schneider weigh in on this, apparently do not meet code requirements with respect to the width. There's no handicap space provided on the plot plan that we were able to exhibit. There was no dumpster exhibited on the plot plan that we were able to exhibit. So the presence of a dumpster would necessarily eliminate parking and reduce the turning radius of what already is a narrow aisle width. With respect to the on-street concerns, we've heard from a number of residents here, the off-site parking is relatively scarce, so it will not be able to fill in the gap, so to speak, caused by the inadequacy of the off-street parking. Just an examination, again, Mr. Schneider will weigh in on the adjoining streets, just shows the scarcity of the parking. We have Broadway, there is no parking on the south side of that street. There's only 2-hour parking on the north side of the street. McConnell Court, which is another adjoining street, there's no parking to the east and only 5 spots on the west. Grand Avenue is a heavily trafficked commercial district. The off-street parking there is already consumed during peak hours. Our second concern is that if the applicant's method of operation at its existing location at 9 Keys Place is any indication of its modus operandi, what we can expect its operation to be at the subject premises is a cause of grave concern. And I'll rely on the photographs that Mr. Grau submitted. I have additional copies, a binder for the board and for counsel for the applicant. And those are a series of 16 photographs, again, all but 3 of which are taken demonstrating the parking conditions at 9 Keys Place. Those begin at photograph number 4. And what you can see is just a demonstrative practice of parking cars illegally, of blocking the sidewalks, of causing pedestrians to have to walk in the street. Photographs 1, 2 through 3 are of the subject site. We understand that the applicant or its designee or nominee acquired title to the subject site in January of, I believe, 2014. And immediately thereafter caused a dumpster and a flatbed truck to be parked there illegally on the curb and on the street, blocking pedestrian traffic. Looks like causing some damage to the street as well. And we would just submit that these photographs just evidence a pattern of general disregard on the part of the applicant to the requirements of the code, to the requirements of public safety, of traffic, impact, and the like. For these reasons, we submit that the applicant has not demonstrated that the granted special permit or the special exception is in conformity with the general intent and purpose of the code and would promote the general public safety, health, and welfare of the community. With that said, I just understand that the applicant only today submitted a traffic impact study and I believe a site plan. I respectfully request that either in the alternative that the public hearing be continued or at the very least that the record be remained open for the submission of written comments so that we would have the benefit of weighing in with respect to that as well. Now, with that being...
Council, on that issue, you would be always, well, any member of the public, and you would certainly be welcome to provide additional commentary at the conclusion of the hearing.
Appreciate that. Now, with that said, I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Schneider. With respect to qualifying Mr. Schneider as an expert, I have a copy of his curriculum vitae here to exhibit to the board to mark into evidence. Mr. Schneider is licensed as a professional engineer in the state of New York, state of New Jersey, state of Florida. He is qualified as an expert before this town's Board of Zoning Appeals, before the town board and zoning boards of the town of North Hempstead, Islip, Babylon, and all is more fully set forth in his curriculum vitae. So on those grounds, I'd like to qualify Mr. Schneider as an expert, and have him weigh in with respect to his report, which we would also like to offer into evidence.
Now, just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Stephen Schneider, principal of Schneider Engineering, 1 Comac, C-O-M-A-C, Loop, Suite 14B3, Ronkonkoma, New York. I was asked to, I'm sorry, I had been in 45 years all over Long Island and been accepted as an expert in traffic.
Councilor, Mr. McKevett, any objection?
No objection.
Thank you.
Thank you. What I'd like to do first is submit to you the report that I prepared based on the documents that were in the town files, obviously not the traffic study, not the latest site plan. By the way, do you have a copy of the site plan here, by any chance?
We do have a copy of the site plan, yes.
Could I see it at all while I'm talking at the same time?
Councilor McKevett is more than happy to share it with you right away.
Thank you. I said men can't do one thing at a time, but I'll try to disprove it. In either case, this is the reports I received. What I'm actually going to do is to save some time, is to skip a lot of the things that were discussed already. I will just go into what I heard basically and try to fill in what I learned as well. Some of the comments are still presented. What I would say is that even though the other traffic engineer had talked about the generally parking situation, he did not, at least from what I heard, take any actual counts of parking available off the site or on the street. I actually have done that, and it shows virtually that there are no parking spaces, just a few available on the street, legal parking spaces. The parking lot that's on the north side that they were talking about, the municipal lot, is quite a distance away from the entrance to the facility, which is on Broadway. I don't think people will be parking half a mile away in order to get there, or a third of a mile away to get to a parking spot for this type of usage. And yes, there are going to be people who will be coming into the site, as was mentioned earlier, for looking at cars, et cetera, and there's virtually no spaces on the site. And in this site plan that I see here, it also clearly indicates that they don't have enough aisle width or parking stall length when you add it total together to actually fit the cars that they have anticipated on the site. So they didn't do a parking analysis at all of the on-street parking. Secondly, they talked about 2-hour limits. 2-hour limits are not enough for this type of facility, obviously. They don't talk about deliveries of equipment, service equipment, or whatever they're delivering, parts. There's absolutely nowhere to put delivery, or possibly, as was mentioned earlier, and I also said, a dumpster is not shown in any location for that as well. They talked about all the different uses that could go here, but they didn't talk about the church. And I think the young lady said that earlier, that the churches operate during the evening, which is obviously the commercial area is almost closed down, and on Sundays. So there is a very good use that was there before that could also work with the neighborhood. The street on Grand Avenue was one of the worst streets I've seen in such a narrow street. Parking allowed at both sides at certain times. Again, when I took my numbers, there was virtually no parking available for anyone. So that they're really short on parking completely. I'm going to try to repeat, I'm not going to try to pass on some of the things that were already said, if you don't mind. I'm sure you don't. The bottom line is that they're putting in a site that is not going to fit physically in the area. It will attract more parkers than other possibilities, like a church and some others that could possibly fit in the site. And parking is, in my mind, one of the biggest issues. And if you don't have room for parking, you're not going to have room for the site. The fact that they talk about satellite, that's fine. If it's going to be in business, that's fine too. If it's not going to be in business, that's also fine. But this is a site that really has too many parking demands on it right now. And that's basically my report. I lived a little bit, obviously. But as soon as I see the traffic study and review the site plan, that will be helpful to me to make my final conclusion.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Is there anyone else, before I ask Mr. McKevitt to come back, is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this matter? Councilor, the floor is yours.
Just to answer some of the concerns and some of the testimony we've heard today. It's very clear the site plan, which has been on file since well before this hearing was even published in the paper, we do have 9 spaces on site. There is 1 handicap space. Again, it's on the site plan in front of all of you at this moment. And again, if you look at the site, there's actually plenty of location, whether on Grand Avenue or Broadway, for a dumpster as well. Again, any concerns you may have about any other parking issues are issues which will be brought before the Board of Zoning Appeals. We need variances for there for both, either it's the front yard setback as well as the off-street parking as well. So those issues will be addressed as well before the zoning board as well. Just to go and indicate, again, a couple of testimonies we heard. We did hear from a Ms. Spielberg who did indicate that she goes and she runs and jogs in the area. I'll just note that it's our understanding the owner of the advanced auto body located to northeast is Mr. Glenn Spielberg, and it's my understanding that Ms. Spielberg is actually a relative of the competing auto body shop located immediately to the northeast. And as Mr. Grau indicated, he is also a manager of a competing business to the northeast. And as this board is very well aware, in the law of the state of New York, the fact that you're a competitor does not give you the grounds of standing in order to go and pose application. We believe in a free market society in this country, and we have businesses who operate. And again, if he runs a good business, he'll do business. We run a good business, we'll do good business as well. When they indicate about the situation over at the Keys Place Merrick, I'm not going to deny there are issues with parking there. It has been brought about by a couple of issues. Again, with this landlord that my client has, we're only allowed to use about 7 spaces of the 17 around the site. The parking for the Keys Place building is not just for us, but it's also for another type of industrial type use, as well as again for a CrossFit gym, which opened up in the last 1.5 to 2 years, which has significantly made the traffic and parking situation worse over in the area of Merrick. And again, that's one of the reasons why we're looking to go and get a solid location, is to alleviate the Merrick situation. So if we want to go and say we have an issue in Merrick, we want to try to go and try to combat that. My client is looking to spend an awful lot of money in order to go and buy a new location in Belmar, put in new equipment to again lessen the impact that we have in Merrick to go and put it in Belmar. I think it's a very important case. We have a number of years left on our lease at the Merrick location. Someone indicating that the lease will be gone. That's news to my client. He intends on being at the Merrick location for many years to come and continue to operate a good business in the area. And again, as far as what parking is concerned at the Keys Place facility, my client could go and do something like at night, move his cars into the Merrick train station parking lot that maybe other businesses will do at that time. My client does not do that. He believes those spaces should belong to the commuters, and he should go and keep spaces at his location, confined to his location. So even though he could go and move cars either on their own power or in a truck into the other spaces at the Merritt train station, he does not do that. And he will not do it at this location because he believes in keeping everything confined to the site. And he's done that at his Merritt location. He will do one at the Belmore location as well. Just indicating regarding complaints, I gave to this town, again, a full freedom of information request, which was made to the building department, and the only complaint they could find at Keys Place was RU Auto Body located to the east of Keys Place, not Merritt Collision on the west of Keys Place. And as far as everything that's concerned, whether maybe some construction or waiting for us to go over the site over in between Brand and Broadway and Belmore, again, we have proper permits for that, for the work which was done there. And again, that was just maybe a temporary use, but that is what's going to occur in the future. As we indicated, we would have a maximum of 5 employees in this site. And mind you, too, this is also a family business. We also have, the owner of Merritt Collision as well as wife and son work there. So again, when you're talking 5 employees, we're not talking 5 cars. We can only talk 3 or 4. When you look at the additional spaces on site, again, we do have a handicap space as well. There's ample parking, not only to go and store cars inside the site, but as far as adjusters and delivery, this site was able to go and address that. And we're able to go and address that without a problem. And before I go and let Mr. Mueller go and give some of his responses as well, I think what Mr. Mueller's testimony is indicating is that this is a business zone and a business location. A business will go on the site. And if this board goes and chooses to so deny my client's application, they will have to find another location or another owner in order to go on the site. But almost any other use which you go and seek to put in the site is going to have a significant more traffic and parking impact than the auto collision will. I think Mr. Muller's testimony says that. He'll testify to it, I think, once more, but it cannot be understated that people may be concerned about parking in Belmore Village and Grand Union and Broadway, but ours, the proposed use, will have the least impact of other uses that you may want to bring in. Someone again mentioned before that, in the past, if there was a church, again, the church has not operated since January of 2014. That church did go and operate at nights and on Sundays. And my indication, right now, on many Sundays, there's actually some craft fairs and markets which exist in that parking lot. So I've gone there on a number of occasions on Sundays and found that there have been instances where there is traffic issues even on Sunday when the church would have existed there, and my client would not be existing at that location. As far as that's concerned, listen, another church used to go in there, which would have services during other times, maybe between Sunday, not during Sunday night, which again would cause a significant traffic impact to the area. So again, I can't underestimate enough that my use will not cause a traffic problem. It'll be far better than any other use. Just one indication as well too, those with Advanced Auto Body had indicated situations whereby you may have thought that there may be cars parked on the sidewalk or along the area of Keys Place and Keys Place and Merritt. I would just like to indicate photographs that we've taken of Advanced Auto Body at other locations as well, which indicates you have cars parked clearly in the clear sight triangle, just like the National Planning Commission had feared back in 1999. And also the photograph showing that there are cars parked on the sidewalk right at the Advanced Auto Body location as well. So if they want to claim that bringing in Merritt Collision in the area would cause issues, I would say you have to look that Advanced Auto Body is doing that type of behavior, which they're complaining about as well. And I'll give those photographs to the clerk for the record as well. At this point, I'll ask Mr. Mueller to just rebut to some of the indications and testimony which he heard today as well.
Thank you again, Wayne Mueller, RMS Engineering. I'd just like to submit for the record a series of 8 photographs.
Could you talk a little more directly into the microphone as well?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to just submit a series of 8 photographs which depict lawfully permitted 2-hour parking during weekdays along the north side of Broadway between Belmore and essentially there is permitted on-street parking along the site frontage on Broadway. Our observations continue on reporting. We keep that throughout the majority of the day. There are open spaces on Broadway that arise for somebody who's associated with this facility to park there. The only time that we saw those spots filled on Broadway was when, in the afternoon, commuter pickup time, when people were coming to the train station to pick up people from the station. It happened very briefly, and then the stations were then empty. But I would like to reiterate that in accordance with the business zoning, and also the special permit criteria contained in the building zoning ordinance, there are numerous other uses that could be constructed on this property that would generate a significantly larger quantity of traffic than that which we propose here today, based on our observations at the existing Keys Place facility, that which was generated by advanced auto body, and that which we could generate using an extremely conservative estimate based on the Institute of Transportation Engineers criteria. Therefore, based on those factors, it is my professional opinion that the granting of the application will not create any undue traffic congestion hazard, and that by permitting the use to be occupied on the project site will actually be a lesser impact to traffic conditions than that could exist.
Councilman Santino, members of the board, that will conclude our presentation for this morning. What Mr. Muller has requested, though, is that apparently Mr. Schneider has done a traffic study, which we have not seen at all. We would like some time to go and review that report, submit a response in writing, and we actually have till December 8th in order to go and make that response back to the town board.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Councilman Santino.
That's it, Mr. Kevin. Thank you very much.
Yes, that is our presentation.
Thank you very much. Okay. I will accept the motion, please.
I move that you reserve the decision.
Second.
Councilman Lucino.
Aye.
Councilman Blake.
Aye.
Councilman Booth. Aye. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilman Kingsbury. Aye.
Okay. Before we move on to the administrative calendar, the board will take a 5-minute recess.
Just tell David I've never done this. I would at least give a call back beforehand just to use his courtesy intern. I know David for a long year, so just let him know I'm very disappointed. Again, I have no problem going to a representation council, I have no problem, but to go and try to sandbag me, I think is okay. So, again, I respect it. I think David's a great guy. I know his wife, he's a good neighbor, he's an excellent attorney, but a good guy at that point. But this is how I do. When I fill out this sometimes, I do a couple things for him. It's my fault. I knew the book, I know the sources, I know what's going on. So I understand. I'm not really fun. I don't know. I know exactly. I know.
The thing is that here, when we do opposition, I don't know if there's a suiting debate.
No. And, I mean, for what it's worth, it occurs. You know, I mean, my client's known you for a long time. I know. You know what? Your guys can make business. I know he just doesn't want him in the neighborhood where it may be. You know, he's willing to go sit down with him anytime. He really is. I mean, I've got some things once, and his attitude is me to one other auto body nearby at that point. I understand. I understand. But what was worse, my guy's willing to open up the Gallup branch anytime. As we just keep that in mind. That's what it is. I don't think it's worth anything, but just to throw it out there. And I think Leving to Lyle or talk about it. Hey, I'm willing to talk all day. I really am. That's fine. That's why I got me my work with this. So, not all day I'm going to work with this. So be it. That's where it goes.
I saw you can see to about 2 of these. Well, I'll pull the rest and see.
Every single body system. And always okay the same location. We go to the Baldwin, we go to Oceanside. It's like this location. That's where it is. That's where it goes. So, it's important. My understanding is at one point, our clients got wrong. And something happened a number of years ago where they don't. And it's unfortunate. Because we're spending a lot of money, we're spending a lot of money, we're making money. It's not good for where are we? So, we have this on the board as well too, so we'll see each other again. And it'll take it.
Yeah, no, it's the first way station.
Yes, no, we're during a fight, whoever argues something or anything along with this, so, it's fine to be a long ride. So, it's I've been doing this 19 years in this place, so, yeah.
You do exclusively?
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. I certainly have to think that, incidentally enough, between Sandy, we thought it actually makes more sense because during Sandy, Costco let non-Costco partners use their pumps. And right now, Costco, they have their own distribution network. So unlike other gas stations where when the Inwood facility went down, they did it, Costco still put on pumping gas on the entire thing. But that was the thing in the site, and Brockway, and the traffic in Brockway is kind of, it's kind of crazy. And Dan Baker left her firm. So, Dan Baker. That was Dan Case. No, Costco was Dan's client. So that's right. So, I decided to move on. So be it. Yeah. All right, pleasure meeting you again. Any questions, concerns at my time? Sure, keep dialogue.
We gotta go.
Okay, please note that the town board has returned. And at this time, before we, go to the administrative calendar, I want to note the presence of a couple of young students who are here observing the meeting. They're still here. Erickson Cesar, Nicholas Vedenko, or Fedenian, and Brianna Castro. Welcome, everyone. Okay, Madam Clerk, moving on to the administrative calendar.
On the administrative calendar, we have items 1 through 71.
Okay. Very good. On the administrative calendar, can I have a motion, please? Okay, before we call the roll, we do have a number of people who have indicated a desire to address the board on various items on the administrative calendar. John Breslin? Okay. Nick Aniello, Mr. Nick Angelello. Okay. Dr. Calderon. Okay. We're all administrative items. Ronald Geyer. Alex Feliciano. Okay, I guess that was also with, and Renuska Calderon. Okay. Donna Cazella. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Donna Kazaza, 405 Cove Ridge Road, Rockville Center, New York. I'm looking at the administrative calendar number 9. And my question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, this contract is an option to renew. It's not a mandate to renew the snow plowing contract. So just enlighten me why this board would not want to put this contract out for bid and see whether, as a result, we get a lower responsible bidder at a less price.
All right, Commissioner Rockensie, would you address that issue, please?
We got 2 contracts, first of all, and yes, there are options to renew both of them in it. From our past experience, the prices that we got were very good prices. They're acceptable to us, so
And we are exercising an option to renew.
All right, I mean, I'm just taking this to mechanics. This is a free market society, and why not do our due diligence? You have nothing to lose. If the price has already been out and published when that contract was won last year, why not put it out to bid? The worst thing that can happen is someone doesn't come in at a lower bidder. No harm, no foul.
Yeah. And again, these are originally bid, and this is an option to renew, and it's in the contract. Huh?
All right, someone answer. All right, my second question then is, moving forward, since everyone on this board will be coming back next year, I'm just wondering if this board may entertain a resolution to take all our contracts and maybe put it on a bid solicitation
That's
board?
not an option, that's not on the administrative calendar, so I would invite you to come
Well,
back.
that's part of this bidding. This bidding was.
It's not an item on the administrative calendar. You're welcome during the miscellaneous part of the meeting to address that.
Right, so then with respect to number 9, we're not entertaining at all. No one is entertaining putting this contract out for the best offer that might be less than this offer here.
We've taken your commentary under advisement. Felix Procacci.
Okay. Items 11 and 12, they're land sales. Were appraisals done on these properties prior to making the decision to sell these properties?
Mr. Danbury?
Yes. Where are the appraisals?
If you want to foil them, they will become available.
Okay. Items number 14 and 15. On the $600,000 zero bond, I understand you could go up to 5 years on that. What's the expected rate on that bond?
Mr. Conner?
Supervisor, I have a seat. I've got a hearing infection. I'm at full now.
Sure, please make yourself comfortable, Mr. Conner.
We're expecting interest rate just probably at this juncture, just north of 3%.
Good. On the item 15, I see we're renewing the $30 million budget note for another year, so why aren't we taking it up and putting it in the bond and getting a fixed interest? Why are we going to wait another year and possibly the interest rates may go up? And
Short-term interest rates are more preferential. Long-term, in fact, this year, the 15 interest rate on this $30,400,000 issuance was 0.56%, 56 basis points. So it's more preferential to go short-term than long-term.
okay, but if short-term changes on you, then anyway, how many more times can we do this over?
1 year.
One more time, and then we have to bond it out.
Comes due on 12/36.
So then we're going to have to go do 15 years or 10 years or something else. Okay. On item 23, the personal service agreement for consulting services. Is this talking about the Coliseum redevelopment area?
The Sloan Kettering part of it, Mr. Levy will amplify.
Yes, it is in the Mitchell Field Multi-Use District, which is the so-called Coliseum area, but this is not associated with the renovation of the Coliseum building or the retail use. This is associated with the planned facility that Memorial Sloan Kettering is going to build on that site.
Okay, just a question. It says here, execution of an escrow and reimbursement agreement with Memorial to recover costs. Just can you clarify?
Yes, there will be additional environmental review necessitated by the dependency of the application through Sloan Kettering. What the town does when we need to do an extensive environmental review is we retain the services of a consultant to do that review. That's F.B. Clark in this case. But so that the taxpayers don't foot the bill for the developer, what is essentially an analysis made necessary by the pendency of the development application. We enter into an escrow agreement under which the developer deposits money into a fund. We hold that money and use those funds to pay the expenses of our consultant's review.
Okay. Items number 24 and 25. I read the details, I wasn't clear. How much money is involved in this, and how's the money? is the town going to be involved in distributing this money?
Mr. Robinson, Commissioner?
Both of these, 24 and 25, are related to New York Rising Governor's Office of Storm Recovery projects. These are ongoing projects that are developing. These came out of the CRZ zones, communities. So currently, there's about $30 million allocated for current projects that we have on the books. There are more projects coming. What this amendment does is clarifies the original subrecipient agreement. The original subrecipient agreement that we had with GOZA was an umbrella agreement. This makes it more specific to more projects.
What's CRZ?
Community reconstruction zones in New York Rising.
And so,
Sandy recovery.
yeah, okay, so we're going to be getting this block of money, and then, people within the town, departments are going to distribute this money. Is that a correct statement?
No,
Okay.
these are projects that the community recommended in their final reports to New York Rising. New York Rising is now coming to the town as we are the subrecipient to have us oversee the design, bidding, and construction of the recommended projects. So we're acting as the agent for New York Rising.
So New York Rising is going to hold on to the funds and then distribute it to the people doing the work. Okay.
The funds originally come down through HUD, disaster recovery.
Okay. Just a quick statement on the items 30 and 34. It involves paying, for equipment used to do mailings. Being that, as usual, I wish we look into ways that we won't need to use these services anymore, that we look into ways of reducing the mailings so we could make it more 21st century email and get people used to that idea so we could save the environment and we could use those resources to do all the other good things we'd like to do in the town. That's all I have to say in regard to those, because we do spend a lot of money on that. Item number 38. Why are we doing this? I see it's like $19,000 and $20,000 for labor, education.
These are,
our human resources director.
Lexer is an agency out in Hopog that we use primarily for substance abuse professionals. They run testing of employees, and anybody who tests positive is referred to this organization to provide counseling and to comply with federal law.
So it's required that municipal governments have this.
I think his answer was pretty clear.
I just wanted to clarify. Okay, on it's item 61, new petitions. I noticed we're changing the grade for the receptionist pool from 7 to 9. Why are you doing that?
7.
Canvassing out of the departments and employees in the receptionist title, we thought that the work product was equivalent to a grade.
So all these people in that grade are going to be getting increases.
It's a reclassification, given the nature of the work. It's a reclassification of the title to a grade.
What's the additional cost to the taxpayer?
Less than $40,000.
Less than $40,000. Okay, and just my normal statement, I wish we would advertise non-tested positions so people besides the employees and their family and friends can get jobs in the town of Hempstead. Thank you.
I believe those are the only people who want to speak on an item on the administrative calendar. There being no one else, I would ask the clerk, since we have a motion and a second, I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilman Messina. Aye. Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Gooseby. Aye. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Aye, but I would choose on number 16 as it's tied to the hearing, which I also would choose on.
Councilman Santina.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sweeney.
Have a motion, please.
I move to adjourn.
I move
Councilwoman?
to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Thank you very much, and please call the roll, please.
Councilman Messina.
Aye.
Councilman
Aye.
Councilwoman Lucy. Councilman Hughes. Councilman Santino.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sweeney.
Okay, as per tradition, the board will remain behind to hear any miscellaneous commentary from residents. Mina Meriday. Diane Madden.
Good afternoon. I have a question. During the budget meeting, I had asked about specifically the TNR number, where to find that in the budget at the animal shelter. I believe Mr. Conroy was going to provide that number. I'm not sure if the number has been established yet. I'd like to know.
Okay, Mr. Cameron's right behind you, so let's ask him again. Sit down, Mr. Cameron, make yourself comfortable, please.
TNRs, the number of TNRs?
No, the monetary.
I have not got that.
Thank you. In regards to the behaviorist, I understand that they now are going to contract a behaviorist, which is certainly a big mistake, but could anyone tell me if that position has been filled and if that's a full-time contract, what it pays?
I'm not sure. I don't have the information available. I'll try to get it for you, Nancy.
Thank you. Lastly, the holiday mailer. I'd like to request that there is an outreach for volunteers, to enlist more volunteers if possible.
Sure, absolutely.
I believe that will go out shortly.
Sure, we'll do that.
And I would like to congratulate you, Councilman, on your win, and I hope that, I know you mentioned we will have a long conversation about the animal
I
shelter.
look forward in January to
I do as well, and I hope you're coming in with new ideas and we'll be open because the animal shelter is absolutely in a backward motion, and I'm hoping that together we can get it back on track.
I'll talk to me, absolutely. Okay, I'm sorry. Stephanie Capuano, or, yeah, there you go. Okay, sorry about that, I butchered that. Okay.
My name is Stephanie Capuano. I live in Montauk, New York. I've been doing TNR for 15 years, about 16 years. And that's having the release and the deplorable conditions of the town of Hempstead. It's just horrible. They've gone backwards. I just want to know why, what's going on. They're doing less and less cats every day, 15 cats a day. I have cats that are suffering and I'm waiting for TNR. And this is my lifelong passion. I have a full-time job as well. I need the services, and every time I go there, I've been bringing back kittens that are mutilated, their stomachs, their bellies have stitches that are bleeding, infections, kittens that can't walk after a couple of days. You have to bring them to the vet and spend all this money because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm really, really upset about this. I'm disappointed terribly. I thought it was going to be a great program, and it just all of a sudden went backwards. We have to wait, how did I wait a month and a half to bring pregnant cats in?
Okay. All right,
They're
Mr.
so
Chairman, I will,
short-staffed, and they're not, they need more pleasant, qualified people to work there.
I will look into it personally.
I don't know what happened and why they cut back like that, and I would like an answer. Thank you.
I'll look into it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Phyllis Procacci.
Just on what the lady before me said, I had trapped a kitten, and early October, and I called the Hempstead Animal Shelter, and the wait is a month. It was like 5 weeks. So I have a kitten. I have 4 other cats, and I have a kitten that I'm taking care of to, get that service. So, that's not too many people would do that. So things you have to consider what the average person would do, and if they're willing to trap a cat in the first place. Now they have to care for it a month, and then I got my kids getting attached to it. So it is a problem if you have to wait a month, if you're willing to do the work in the first place. What's the status of my ethics complaint against Supervisor Murray?
I think they mailed it to you yesterday, or it's going out in today's mail. If you give me 5 minutes after the meeting, I will check.
Okay. What's the status of the pet store law?
It is being still under consideration, and still aspects of it are being looked at, and discussions are being had with various individuals in the industry. It's still a work in progress.
I didn't bring it with me today, but I do have some recommendations maybe at the next meeting that I think would be fruitful. I'm not sure when you plan on voting on it.
But I would suggest you submit them in writing.
Yeah, I could email them to the Cape Murray hotline, something like that.
Fine.
It's been recently announced this has been a 4-year, more than that, 6-year ordeal since Michael and Charles Scalata were found to be taking excessive compensation at Sanitary District 7. That happened in 2009. It was one of the things that prompted me to come to town hall because it seemed like no one was in charge. There's now a former employee who's retired who's suing, not for himself, which I admire him a lot, to get funds back. I wish somebody on the town board who has went outside the purview of the town, went outside, talked about issues that were concerned, things like the fortune off betting, casino. That's not our concern, but people from the town board made comments to the press. I wish people on the town board, since the state controller already found that this was illegally gotten gains, that I think it would be very helpful if our town board members, our representatives, come forward and say that they should give this money back. That's the finding. The board is still 3-2 in favor of not pursuing it, but like I said, it was ill-gotten gains, and I think it would be a great, thing that it would change the dynamic in the way the town of Hempstead is run and the way the special districts are run. One more issue, I'm looking at zoning law, and last December, Councilman Santino offered a resolution on the following, and to make it short, I don't know if you remember, it's adopting the proposed repeal and reenactment of subparagraph 267D3, and essentially, the key part, I believe, of the statement is under all circumstances of a case, it referring to the Board of Appeals, may impose a condition of a grant which shall make the grant temporary in nature for a duration of time to be fixed by the board, subject to renewals as the board may deem appropriate. Now, just to use a concrete example, since we spoke so much this morning about the proposed body shop, if the Board of Appeals was going to give the body shop, the variance and everything, does it have the right, after this guy invests $1 million, whatever, in equipment, to now pull his permit, pull his rights to operate?
They can give a grant for a specified period of time. The idea behind it is to see whether or not the application or the business would fit into the area. But yes, they're allowed to give a grant for a specific period of time, at the end of which that business would come back to the board.
So, but the thing is, it's not one thing that if it's something like a parade or something that goes away, it only lasts a very fixed period of time. When you invest $1 million in frame straightening equipment and paint, equipment and all this other stuff that's, pretty hard to move. Maybe some of it may be built into a facility, washing machines or something like that, in the case of, that's not like, okay, now the board decides, oh, we're not going to allow him to have that job and that facility anymore. So now what does he do with all his investment? That seems like...
Please wrap up your...
So, because I did went to the Board of Appeals, and there's a question here. Renewal of a grant to maintain a 6-foot-high fence. Now, once you put a fence in, usually it's forever. If I came here and I asked for a fence, and they said, okay, you can put the fence up, and I put the fence up, now 5 years later you come and take the fence down, that doesn't seem like a reasonable thing to do. And I think it's unconstitutional. So I think this law needs to be looked at. These are the people who have to come back. I have a list from this right from the town's website, from the Board of Appeals, and there's a number of items besides that. And I think the law has to be looked at because I think it may be unconstitutional and unreasonable if you're going to allow me to build a fence or a building and you give me all the permits. I went through all the trouble of designing this thing and going through all the trouble it is to come to town board and the Board of Appeals and everything. Now you're going to say in 5 years after all this investment, hey, you got to take that building down, you got to take that fence down, you got to move.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCarthy. Have a nice day, ladies and gentlemen.
I will do it.